Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another story time, this time on childhood video game arcades. So a lot of the time whenever I would go to a video game arcade, it would actually be like a part of something else, like most notably Chuck E. Cheese. And I'm talking about the Chuck E. Cheese from back in the day Chuck E. Cheese. The Chuck E. Cheese that millennials remember going to. The Chuck E. Cheese that had the Five Nights at Freddy's style animatronics that scared the bejesus out of everybody because they were in a darkened room. We don't have that anymore. The animatronics aren't there anymore. We don't have the darkened room anymore. And from what I've seen on a lot of the reviews that people have done about the place now, they don't have like a lot of the same arcade games that we all grew up with and remember. One of those most notably that I played a lot when I was a kid was the Mario Brothers arcade game. Now this is similar to the NES version of the same game, just a little bit harder. It was changed slightly, probably designed to try to eat your quarters, so you'd spend tons of money playing a game and you could play at home for free. Never really got very far in this. I never really got very far in the game on the home console version either. Another one that I liked playing a lot at Chuck E. Cheese was Road Blasters. Now, this is another kind of like late 1980s to early 90s kind of racing game where you're just running down the highway, shooting other cars with different types of weapons and armaments, and some of those would drop down from above with a plane that would fly overhead. This game, I never really understood there was any like story behind it or any like actual concept. It was just fun to drive. The arcade cabinet for this was actually very cool looking too. It was this big elongated wooden cabinet you kind of like sat inside of. They make you feel like they were like inside the car driving down the road, and of course you had your basic controls, your steering wheel, your foot pedals, and I think it did have a shifter if you chose the option for the shifter as well. Pretty fun game. Never got very far on it either. Another one that was really popular in video game arcades when I was a kid was, and this is one that probably everyone who sees this video is going to remember, and there are two. I'll start with the most notable one for me first though. That was the Simpsons arcade game. Now, yeah, that's actually right. There was a Simpsons arcade game. It never made a home console port, unfortunately. I hope at some point that it will, or someone will like upload like a ROM file for it so you can actually like play the game, because this thing was fun. I mean, this is a 4-player Simpsons game, so that's what's in the thumbnail for the video is Kiarza and her friends playing the Sampsons video game. Of course, remember, they're in a different universe, so it's the Sampsons in their universe. That's the one that's got the character Bort rather than Bart. Anyway, this one like ate your quarters like crazy, and when one kid ran out of quarters, the next kid would step up and take their place, and then keep playing until they ran out of quarters, and so forth. The cycle continues. The cycle of life completes itself once the game is done. I don't think I ever actually saw anyone finish the game, but we got pretty far, taking turns playing the game and then running back and forth asking our parents for more change so we could keep playing the game. The other one was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. Very similar styling to The Simpsons, similar quality of graphics. Well, not so much because The Simpsons was done more of like a cartoon style, but you get the idea. It played very similarly. It was also a lot of fun to play. I don't think I ever saw the actual ending of this game. I did see I think it was the Technodrome fight battle segment of the game, like years later. I don't think I actually ever saw it like in the arcades because we never actually got that far. But it's another one that never made a home console port, unfortunately, which is sad, because it was another really great game. Later on, when I started getting into like my tweens to very early teens, some more newer, like cool-looking games started hitting the scene. Those were things like Cruisin' USA, which did make a home console port that was on the Nintendo 64, and I think it wasn't one of the launch titles, but it came out like really close to the time of the launch of the N64, and the arcade version was basically the same thing as the home console version, but there were some differences. I noticed like on the Nevada stage, that's one I always like to play on because you actually have a chance to derail the train on that part of the game. And on the home console version, it's not done so easily, which I don't know why they changed it. It was always fun getting right up close to the train and like deliberately derailing it towards the end of the racetrack. There was also a cheat that you could do to give you 3 other vehicles that you could race as. One of those was a police car, the other one was a school bus, and then the other one I don't remember. I think it was like some kind of Jeep or something. But we actually figured out, me and my brother, what it was. You know, we kind of just stumbled upon it by accident, and there were other kids who wanted to know like how we were doing it, you know, and my brother kept telling me, you know, not to, like, when other kids were standing around, like, press the button sequence you need to do to get those cars, you know, because we didn't want other kids knowing. It was like kind of like our secret instead. But I slipped up and did it anyways because I wanted other kids to see how it was done. And then other game that was really popular, that this one was actually played a lot in this $1.50 movie theater, was called Elvis Cinema, and it was like this cool looking, like, retro, like 50s style, like neon lights everywhere, kind of like movie theater lobby, you know. And one game stood out from all the others. It was called Primal Rage. It was very similar to Mortal Kombat, only involved dinosaurs instead. So you fought as dinosaur fighting other dinosaurs in a post-apocalyptic future, basically, because it wasn't taking place in the past. It was in Earth's future where dinosaurs like came back to life again. No, and John Hammond didn't have anything to do with this one. But anyways, but yeah, of course, like, there was Mortal Kombat as well, and Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 were very popular over the years, popping up in arcades, and that one like stood out from like all the other games at the time because Mortal Kombat, this is before Primal Rage came out, had it where you could actually dismember your opponent and it had blood. And this is also the game that finally made it where video games had to have a rating system on them. Another really fun game to play. Played this one a lot as a kid as well. Two other games that I was going to go ahead and add on here. I'm saving these ones for last, probably because like a lot of people probably never actually got a chance to play these. One of those was called Pack-Rat. Now this was actually a Commodore 64 game that was also an arcade game. The arcade version was actually better quality graphics, of course, than the Commodore 64 game version, and the only one I actually ever played was the one in the arcades. It was also one that was very popular at Chuck E. Cheese at the time, and you just ran around the junkyard as a pack-rat collecting stuff, you know, and that was the object of the game. Nothing more to really say. That's it, really. And then the other one that was played at Chuck E. Cheese a lot was, I can't remember the name of this one. I'm gonna have to like look it up, but it was like it was like a moon lander game or whatever. It was something where you were running around in a lunar lander, and you're just shooting spaceships and things, you know, that pop out in front of you and stuff. And that one also was a fun one to play. I think that one was also a Commodore 64 game as well, but the arcade version of it was, again, like much better, and the arcade version is the only one I ever played as well. If I remember the name of this game, I will comment it below in a pinned comment, so that way you know what the name of it was, or I'll just put it in the title description, or like just a picture of whatever in the rest of this video, because YouTube doesn't do annotations anymore, and they haven't for a very long time. Thanks for that, YouTube. Annotations would be very, very helpful for this right now, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? But no, you had to take them away, like you've done with everything else on this platform. Anyways, so there you go. Those are arcade games from my childhood. If you've played any of these games, just let me know in the comments below. Love to hear it. Tell me your stories. Tell me about the games that you've played. Maybe there's some games that you remember from your childhood and video game arcades that I don't know about. It'd be great to hear about it. Thanks again, as always, for watching as well. Fan art, love the fan art. You know, I need more fan art on the channel, so if you want to do any of my characters at all, you're more than welcome to. Just hashtag VideLovestein fan art on social media. I use most of the major ones except for Twitter. And even though I still have my Twitter linked below, it's just kind of like for archival purposes. But yeah. Anyways, so, yep, that's all for this video. Have a good one out there. As always, stay safe and bye.